Scotland's windswept east coast is little changed over the centuries. In the 1400s, however, the city of St Andrews witnessed the birth of a game that would eventually inspire, confound and capture the imagination of sportsmen and women all over the world. Golf's appeal has proved to be timeless, its challenge as daunting as ever. And this week, the most skilled exponents on the planet gather for the first Open Championship of the 21st century. There could be only one venue. Golf is back at St Andrews. The long-awaited championship is almost underway, and the build-up to the biggest golf show of the year has begun. And to commemorate this special Open, all past champions have been invited to return to the home of golf to play a part in a unique championship and pay their tribute to the greatest and oldest of all golfing venues.
I did a whole rendition on this with the. I get a tingle just being here in St Andrews without playing the golf. In other words, seeing the buildings and knowing what it's all about and how long it's been here.
I enjoyed the course. The more I played it, the more you respect it. And you had to stop and think a little bit about where you're going to run it in or pitch it on or this and that and the other. And I liked it very much.
If you're going to win an Open, you want to win at St Andrews. I mean, I think it's a home of golf and something very special about the place. That little bridge is is an amazing spot in golf. Every pair of spikes has walked across here from, all of them, from the Tom Morrises right the way up.
But into the new century where this man could take the game to an even higher dimension. Tiger Woods, the overwhelming favourite, is attempting to create more history this week by adding the Open Championship to the US Open he won in June.
If there's any two tournaments you want to win, you're going to want to win the US Open at Pebble Beach and want to win the British Open at St Andrews. And it's just ironic that it happened to be in the same year, and ironic the fact that I had to have the chance to complete the Slam on the most historic golf course ever designed.
But for Woods to take his opportunity, he must snatch the trophy from the hands of the defending champion.
This time last year, who'd have thought that Paul Lawrie would arrive at St Andrews with a claret jug? But 12 months ago at Carnoustie, Lawrie completed the metamorphosis from an unfancied qualifier to Open champion with a dramatic victory.
I think it sank in pretty much straight away, the day after, really. When I woke up my bed about 4 o'clock to speak to some guy on TV, it was kind of nice, but there's so much more things to do now, obviously, because you're the Open champion, but I've done them all I've been asked to do, and I feel comfortable.
After starting the final day 10 shots adrift, posting a 67 and enjoying a lengthy wait as the rest of the field crumbled, Lawrie remembers one shot in particular. It came at the penultimate playoff hole.
The putt I hold at 17, I followed John in from about maybe 15 feet to take a one-shot lead. I remember holding that putt very well, but it's pretty much a blur now, but I do watch the video quite a lot, which is nice to watch.
Ryder Cup selection followed, and Lawrie, who partnered Colin Montgomery, had the distinction of getting the show on the road.
First on the tee, representing Europe, Paul Lawrie.
Yeah, we spoke about it, and Monty said that it worked out better if I played the odd holes, which, he said he hit the first shot in 95 at Oak Hill, so he said it's a great thing to do, and he asked if I was quite comfortable doing that, and I said, oh yeah, no problem, I'll hit the first shot. And I got on the tee and thought, what the hell did I agree to do this for? Never been so nervous playing golf ever. But it was fantastic once I'd hit it. It was a great feeling. I'll take it. We gelled well together. I think it'd be difficult not to play well with Monty. He's a nice player, and he putted very well that week, and, we won a few points. It was good fun.
The Aberdonian made an impressive to this year, claiming some notable scalps en route to the quarterfinals of the Anderson Consulting World Match Play. He eventually lost to Tiger Woods, but gained much in terms of confidence.
Yeah, the World Match was important. I beat a few guys that week, Calcavecchia, Mayfair, and really should have beaten Tiger the way I felt. I was 2 up with 7 to play, and he only made 1 birdie coming in and won 3 holes off me, so I was very disappointed to be beaten by him, which is a good thing because he's the best player that we have in our game. So if I'm disappointed when he beat me, then it's good. But I should have beaten him in my own mind, but it was good to play well there. It's a big tournament, and I think I performed pretty good.
Since shifting his plan of attack stateside at the start of the season, has the Open champion felt homesick?
Well, I miss Europe a little bit, yeah. We have a little group of Scottish players in the tour that we all go out for meals together and a few drinks of an evening, so, it's nice when you go out with them, and, they're not on the US tour, so it's a little bit more lonely over there. But
This season has been low-key for an Open champion. 4th place in Dubai, Laurie's best result so far. Nagging injuries haven't helped, the most recent causing him to miss the US Open.
Well, I think it was a groin strain that I had. You know, I was out for 4 weeks. I didn't play golf for 4 weeks, which was difficult. Like I said before, I had a few injuries, and it's very frustrating. You know, sitting watching these guys playing at Pebble Beach was not nice. I was desperate to be there, but just couldn't quite make it. But I've played 2 tournaments now coming back, and I played reasonably well in them both, so I think we're okay now.
With the demanding Linksland awaiting, there's one special hole, possibly the most famous in golf, which Laurie thinks will play a starring role this week.
17's obviously everyone's favourite hole. It's a fantastic hole. You can throw up 3s and 8s, it's just a tremendous golf hole along by the hotel. Well, I think like everyone else, the first time I played it, I didn't like it much. I didn't think it was much of a golf course, but the more you play it, the more you fall in love with it, really. It's a fantastic piece of ground for a golf course.
The Open champion's destined for a busy time at the home of the game, but he's relishing the prospect of defending the title.
Obviously, it's going to be a fantastic week. It's going to be very, very busy for me there, and there's going to be lots to do, but I think once Thursday morning comes and I get all out of the way and concentrate on my own game, I think I can win again. There's no reason why not. Whether it be this year or in the years to come, I think I will win it again. But I'm looking forward to the week. The golf course will be set up nice and it should be good fun.
Champion had hoped. During a junior golfing clinic on Monday, injury-prone Paul was struck on the hand, and that's hampered his practice and possibly his Open defence. But one man whose build-up has been a little less stressed is Lee Westwood, who comes into the tournament on the back of an excellent run of form, which has placed him firmly among the favourites before the off.
I think every young player sort of stood on the putting green at their home club and stood over 3 foot and said in their mind this one for the Open, and it'd be nice to have one eventually.
Like many before, Westwood has not in the past been a fan of the old course, but that's maybe more the result of poor performances at St Andrews up until now.
I've never played well here in the past, and I think that's why I've not really liked it as much as I should do. You listen to people like Seve and Tom Watson and Jack Nicklaus and people like that, and they say the more you play it, the more it grows on you. So I think if I ever got a couple of good rounds under my belt, I'd learn to like it, I think.
Lee's stablemate Darren Clark will also be strongly this week. He tops the Volvo Order of Merit and has a good run at Open Championships in the past. And that's even more the case for Jesper Parnevik, who's been in contention several times and has a game that seems suited to links golf. Now, hands up all of you who didn't know Colin Montgomerie has never won a major. Exactly. It's the one tag Europe's #1 for the past 7 years has been unable to shed, despite a catalogue of near misses. Monty's overall record in his home Open is less than inspired, 12 attempts with a best finish at tied 8th. But overall, the Scot has made a stunning impact on the game, following in the footsteps of the unique Seve Ballesteros. And in the build-up to this year's Open, both players received an honorary doctorate of law from St Andrews University. For Seve, to St Andrews will always be an emotional occasion after his Open success here in 1984, memories of which are still strong.
I watch the video sometimes, and obviously that moment on the 18th it will always stay forever in my mind. It's the moment that if it ever comes, it's the moment that we all dream about it, and it's a fantastic feeling.
The same experience has been shared by another St Andrews Open champion who's recently shown signs of a return to form. Nick Faldo is confident of hosting a challenge that may enable him to repeat his success of 1990 and see his name engraved on the famous claret jug for a 4th time.
Local man Tom Kidd was the first to win an Open at St Andrews. The painter and decorator was something of a surprise champion. James Braid diced with a railway line on the way to his triumph in 1905. But of the early champions, Bobby Jones stands out. He prevailed at St Andrews in 1927, he left the old course, and when he died in 1962, the town mourned his passing.
I count myself unbelievably fortunate to have played with Bobby at the height of his majestic powers, and to have remained, I'd like to think, a lifelong friend.
Jones was adored in St Andrews, and that also applies to Gary Player, who was awarded an honorary doctorate at the university in 1995. Arnold Palmer's Open debut came at the old course in 1960. His presence attracted other big-name Americans, and the championship was revitalised. As you'd expect, the King said emotional goodbyes to the championship here in 1995. Aussie Kel Nagel pipped Palmer in 1960 in what was the 100th staging of the Open. By missing this clinching putt in 1970, Doug Sanders fell victim to the cruelest finish at the home of golf. It meant a playoff with Jack Nicklaus, and the Golden Bear clearly relished the first of his 2 Open wins at St Andrews. After the European success in the form of Ballesteros and Faldo, Costantino Rocca must have thought he'd be joining them as a St Andrews winner. But despite unthinkably holding this monstrous putt to force a playoff, it wasn't to be. Long John Daly was instead the last man to lift the claret jug at this golfing mecca. Overwhelmed, he took his place in history.
It's unbelievable, the names that are on here. Just to be a part of it's just... I don't really know what to say.
Appealing locations, hosting a classy field at the Standard Life Loch Lomond. 5 of the world's top 10 were involved, including David Duval, seeking to end a trophy drought stretching back to the Bell South Classic 15 months ago. The Floridian produced flashes of inspiration, but never quite got into serious contention. He would eventually finish in a tie for 48th. On day 2, the spectators at the 17th were given plenty to cheer, and colourful Californian Duffy Waldorf certainly gave it some stick. But he won't be able to repeat that pin-seeking form at St Andrews after losing in a qualifying playoff. Next day on the same hole, flamboyant Swede Jarmo Sandelin succeeded where Waldorf had so unluckily failed. Unfortunately for Sandelin, this ace came a day early. During the closing round, his fellow countryman Matthias Gronberg also helped one to collect $100,000, only available on the final day. It was another encouraging week for Nick Faldo, following on from his solid display at Pebble Beach. A disastrous start to the closing round saw Faldo drop down into a tie for 9th, but for the most part, the 3-time Open champion looked very sharp. At 8 under par, the co-leaders after 3 rounds were Americans Tom Lehman and Notabige III, and South Africa's Ernie Els. The Big Easy in prime position, oozing confidence and desperate to win on a course he thoroughly enjoys.
And Ernie enjoyed preparing for his week at Loch Lomond by getting to know the course a little better, with the rest of the family, wife Liesl and daughter Samantha, causing some distraction for Ernie's playing partner.
Oh, you Christ,
I kind of made up my mind before this year started to really start playing a lot of tournaments again and get back into the swing of things and play with the best players in the world again. And that means you got to make some sacrifices and you got to start training again. And that's what I'm doing again. And Samantha is kind of old enough to travel with us. She also struggles with the jet lag. But it's been fun, you know, it's been really wonderful. I'm playing a full schedule again and I'm trying to get to the top again.
Going into Loch Lomond, Ernie hadn't tasted victory for almost a year and a half, but a return to form has been apparent, and more to the point, he again looks hungry for success. Second in both majors so far this year would please many, but not the South African.
Obviously, you know, I had a chance winning the Masters this year. I finished, I think, 2 or 3 behind Vijay Singh, and if it wasn't for a cold putter, you know, I could have shot 65 or 64 easily. But, you know, at least there I had a legitimate chance of winning the Masters. Unlike the US Open, where I also finished second, but 15 shots behind Tiger. So you can call it second place on paper, but that's about as far as it goes.
As a double Alfred Dunhill Cup winner, Ernie knows this week's venue better than most, and this knowledge will certainly help in his bid for a first Open title.
I remember my first time I played, it was in 1987 in the Lynx Trophy, and since in 92 Daniel Cup, I've played there every year since then, including the Open Championship in 95. So I should know the golf course pretty well. I've played it in just about every wind direction there is on that golf course, and every weather temperature also. So I'm looking forward to it, and I think it should be a closer Open than the US Open this year.
To win takes more than course knowledge, though. Indeed, just to tee up at St Andrews can require outstanding golf for those who have to pre-qualify. Ernie's record spared him that ordeal, but he's always had an understanding of the game's traditional values.
The Open Championship is the Open. I mean, it's the major in the world golf. It's almost the World Open. Everybody wants to come and play. There's huge qualifying rounds all around the country, and people from all around the world, as I say, come and play the Open. It's going to be one of those really special events, you know, and I'm going to be glad to be a part of it.
Look past Tiger Woods and Els feels that fellow South African Retief Goosen, with his fantastic Alfred Dunhill Cup record, could be a good bet for this year's championship.
He just about won the Dunhill Cup for us on his own in '97 when we won it our first time. So he's got a great track record around there. Same as myself, he knows the golf course as good as anybody, and I think he's a little bit longer than I am off the tee, so it even suits him better than it suits me. So all he has to do is go and play there, but I think he's one of the definite dark horses to win there.
Although spending most of his golfing time stateside these days, Ernie enjoys his visits back to Europe.
As you know, the European Tour spreads its wings around the world, and I played in Dubai, I played in Singapore, Australia, I started playing there, and all of a sudden I became this world player, but I was actually playing the European Tour, and I'm very proud of that. Ken Schofield made me an honorary member of the tour, and that makes it very special. You know, it makes it easy to play the European Tour and stay a member. So as long as I'm a member, you know, I'll be a European player.
Back on the Bonnie Banks, Els got off to a final day flying start with 3 birdies in the first 4 holes. Consecutive bogeys put the brakes on that charge, but this birdie at the 12th kept him nicely in contention for the £183,000 first prize. Ernie partnered Monty, who despite tying for the lead for a while, couldn't quite keep the trophy on his mantelpiece. A brave title defence ended with the local favourite in third, and with some valuable cash for the ongoing Volvo Order of Merit battle. Overnight co-leader Nota Bigay was demonstrating his ambidextrous putting to great effect. Indeed, a third straight victory following back-to-back wins in the States began to look a distinct possibility. Tom Lehman, the Standard Life Loch Lomond champion in 1997, was also in the shake-up, and conjuring up some great escapes to make his presence felt atop the leaderboard. Bigay's challenge was buried in the undergrowth at the 16th. A demoralising double bogey 6 was the outcome. A birdie at the 17th took Els to 11 under, but sand skills were required to avoid a closing bogey. Els was up to the task, and having saved par, he was forced to sweat it out, as Lehman, who'd also birdied the 17th, played the last. In a finish reminiscent of the 1997 US Open at Congressional, Lehman needed a par to force a playoff with Els. Unfortunately, his drive found the drink, and his hopes of victory were quite literally sunk. So Lehman came up just short, and the silverware went to Els, who after going 17 months without a title, will now be hoping, rather like buses, the two come along together. Not surprisingly, every member of the world's top 10 has journeyed to Fife, and with major ambitions as a travelling companion. Hal Sutton's a former US PGA champion, but Phil Mickelson's never triumphed in one of golf's Grand Slam events. Davis Love hasn't lifted a trophy for some time, but that isn't the case for Lee Westwood, or indeed the great Scottish Oak Colin Montgomerie. Twice US Open winner Els is third in the elite list, and David Duval remains second, but a distant second to Tiger Woods, who arrives in St Andrews with an overwhelming advantage in the rankings.
And perhaps nature will help protect the old course, but going into the Open, the links appear to be user-friendly.
It's probably as fast as I've ever seen a golf course ever play. The fairways are basically just almost nothing, just a very small, thin layer of rock-hard fescue grass, and the ball just runs forever on it.
Matter of fact, today I hit drive on number 9, and I had about 80 yards to the flag, and I putted it out of the fairway, and I putted it pretty good. I putted it up about 15 feet from the hole. I don't think I'd have been able to chip and run it. That's what the old course is all about.
And the course does offer some unusual shots. Imagination and vision could replace the yardage book this week.
And the way it's playing is like a main road at the moment. I mean, we're putting it from 100 yards just for, we started off doing it for fun, and now we started to think, hey, this might be the shot. And if it gets breezy, you can just, run it in. So I think you're going to see some guys doing that sort of thing this week.
As ever, the bunkers, all modified, may grab your attention.
I think the bunkers are more steep than they used to be, and down the bottom the sand, it looks like it's more flat. It used to be more kind of a hollow, so the ball always come to rest into the middle of the ground.
With the course ready to test the best and the field putting together finishing touches to their game, there's still just the one man they have to beat. For Tiger, it's not just about the claret jug, but the chance to be the youngest ever to win all 4 majors.